Two angels walk among humans in the streets of ancient Babylon. They have one mission: to teach magic. Dark, forbidden magic. But there's a catch. Before they teach you, they give you a warning. We are a test. Do not lose your faith. And yet, thousands ignore the warning. They learn the magic anyway. Magic powerful enough to destroy marriages, to turn love into hatred, to bend reality itself. But here's the question that has haunted scholars for over 1,000 years. Why would God send angels to teach something he forbade? Why would heaven's most loyal servants become instructors of the very thing that could damn a human soul? This is not a fairy tale. This is a story found in one of the world's most sacred texts, a story that challenges everything we think we know about good, evil, and divine will. This is the story of Harut and Marut, the fallen angels of Babylon. Before we go deeper, you need to understand something about angels in Islamic tradition. Angels are not like humans. They don't have free will. They cannot sin. They are made from light, programmed by God to obey without question. They never eat, never sleep, never disobey. The angel Gabriel delivered messages to prophets. The angel of death takes souls without hesitation. Angels are soldiers in God's army, perfect, emotionless, obedient. So when two angels are sent to earth to teach magic, something doesn't add up. It breaks every rule. The story appears in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 102. But the Quran only gives fragments, just enough to leave you asking questions. The rest comes from centuries of Islamic scholarship, Jewish mysticism, and ancient oral traditions that have been passed down through generations. And the story begins not in Babylon, but in heaven. Imagine the heavens before time as we know it. Angels stand before God, performing their duties. They glorify him constantly. They never complain. They never fail. Then God creates something new. Humans, made from clay and water, weak, emotional, capable of terrible evil. According to Islamic tradition, the angels watch humanity with confusion. They see murder, betrayal, wars, idolatry, lust, greed. Humans are drowning in sin. And the angels ask God a question. Why did you create them? Why give them free will if they only use it to destroy themselves and disobey you? God answers simply, I know what you do not know. But some angels, according to later commentaries, push further. They say, if we were in their place, we would never sin, we would never disobey. We are better than them. This is where pride enters heaven. Not open rebellion like Satan, just a quiet, dangerous thought. We are superior. God decides to teach them a lesson. He chooses two angels. Their names are Harut and Marut, and he gives them something angels have never had before: human bodies, human desires, human weaknesses. He sends them to earth with one mission: live among humans, judge their disputes, show them justice. But there's a second, hidden purpose: a test. Now, God says, let us see how you do when you have the same weaknesses they have. Harut and Marut descend to Babylon, the greatest city of the ancient world, a place of towering ziggurats, hanging gardens, and rivers that sparkle under the desert sun, a place of knowledge, power, and temptation. They take human form. They walk through the markets. They breathe. They feel heat, cold, hunger, thirst. For the first time, they are vulnerable. At first, they perform their task perfectly. They settle disputes between merchants. They judge fairly between the rich and the poor. People begin to respect them. Some even call them wise men, saints. But then, something happens. Different traditions tell different versions, but most agree on this. A woman enters their lives. In some accounts, her name is Zuhrah. In others, she is simply called the most beautiful woman in Babylon. She comes to them with a legal case, maybe a divorce, maybe an inheritance dispute. The details blur across centuries. But what happens next is clear. Both angels are struck by her beauty. For the first time they feel desire, not the pure love of God they knew in heaven. This is something darker, earthly, human, according to some narrations. The woman is clever. She senses their interest. She makes them an offer. I will give myself to you, but first you must do 3 things. Drink wine, bow to an idol, and kill an innocent person. The angels hesitate. They know these are sins, capital sins, each one a betrayal of everything they are. But desire has already taken root, and in the logic of sin, there is always one more compromise. We will drink wine, they say. Just wine, nothing more. They drink. Intoxication clouds their judgment. The barriers crumble. Then comes the idol. Just a boo, they tell themselves. We don't believe in it. It's just a gesture. They bow. Then comes the moment of ultimate horror. A witness appears, a man who sees what they are doing. To protect their secret, they kill him. In a single night, 2 of heaven's perfect beings commit 3 of the worst sins imaginable. And the woman? Some traditions say she was a test sent by God himself. Others say she was a demon in disguise. A few say she was just a human woman who wanted power and manipulated divine beings to get it. But then she makes one final demand. Teach me the secret names of God. Teach me the magic that gives angels power over creation. And in their shame, in their desperation, they do. The moment the woman learns the secret names, she speaks them. In some versions, she ascends to heaven. God transforms her into a star, the planet Venus, where she remains forever, a reminder of the danger of beauty without righteousness. Harut and Marut realize what they have done. The weight of sin crushes them. For beings who have never known guilt, the feeling is unbearable. They stand before divine judgment. But here's where the story takes a strange turn. Instead of being destroyed, instead of being cast into hell like Satan, they are given a choice: punishment now or punishment later. They can suffer in this life, imprisoned in Babylon, chained, tortured, and be forgiven in the afterlife. Or they can live freely now and face eternal damnation later. They choose the first, immediate punishment, hope for eventual mercy. According to tradition, they are hung upside down in a well in Babylon, chained in darkness, tormented by their failure. This is where they will remain until the day of judgment. But even in their punishment, they are given a final task: teach magic to humanity, but warn them first. This is the paradox that scholars have wrestled with for centuries. Why would God command angels to teach the very thing he forbids? The answer, according to Islamic theologians, is this: it is a test. Magic itself is knowledge. Knowledge of the hidden names of God. Knowledge of the forces that hold creation together. It is not evil by nature, but in human hands, it becomes a tool for corruption. Harut and Marut become teachers, but they are bound by a divine rule. Before teaching anyone, they must say, "We are only a test. Do not disbelieve." Every student who comes to them receives the same warning. This knowledge can destroy you. It can separate you from God. Turn back now. But humans, in their arrogance, in their hunger for power, ignore the warning. They learn how to split marriages, how to make people hate those they once loved, how to bind and curse and manipulate reality itself. And so, Babylon becomes a center of sorcery. The knowledge spreads like poison through the veins of the ancient world. The story of Harut and Marut doesn't end in ancient Babylon. It echoes through history. In Jewish mysticism, there is a similar story about angels named Azza and Azael, who fall because of their lust for human women. In the Book of Enoch, an ancient Jewish text, fallen angels teach humans forbidden knowledge: weapons, cosmetics, astrology, and magic. Christian tradition speaks of the Watchers, angels who descended and corrupted humanity before the Great Flood. These stories are not identical, but they share a terrifying theme. Knowledge is dangerous. Power corrupts. Even the purest beings can fall if they forget their place. In Islamic tradition, magic learned from Harut and Marut is called Sihr, sorcery. It is explicitly forbidden. The Quran says, "They learned that which harms them and does not benefit them." But here's the uncomfortable truth. People still sought it, even knowing the warning, even knowing the cost, because humans always believe they will be the exception. I can control it, they think. I won't be corrupted. I'm smarter than the others. This is the same logic that destroys gamblers, addicts, and dictators. The belief that you can dance with darkness and walk away clean. Now, here is where this story becomes controversial, even among Muslims. Some scholars reject the entire narrative. They say angels cannot sin, therefore this story must be metaphorical. They argue Harut and Marut were not real angels, but perhaps human teachers, or the names refer to something symbolic. Others accept the story but interpret it differently. They say Harut and Marut never actually sinned. They were sent to teach magic as a pure test, and the stories of their fall were added later by oral tradition, influenced by Jewish and Christian texts. But the majority of classical scholars accept the story as true. They say it teaches something profound about the nature of free will, pride, and divine testing. Even angels, when given the burden of choice, can stumble. Even heaven's perfect soldiers, when stripped of their divine protection and clothed in human flesh, can fall. This is not a story about angels being evil. It is a story about how fragile goodness is when it depends only on circumstance, not on true inner strength. The angels in heaven judged humanity. They said, "We are better. We would never sin." God said, "Only because I have not tested you the way I test them." So what does this mean for us? The story of Harut and Marut is not really about magic. It's about something much more dangerous: self-righteousness. It's easy to look at people drowning in addiction, broken by sin, trapped in cycles of destruction, and say, "I would never do that. I'm stronger. I'm smarter." But you are stronger only because you have not been tested the same way. You're not an alcoholic. Maybe because you never had the trauma that drives someone to drink. You're not a thief. Maybe because you never felt the desperation of watching your children starve. The angels thought they were better than humans. They learned they were not. We think we are better than those who fall. We are not. We are just untested. This is why the story exists. Not to teach us about ancient magic, but to teach us humility. Before you judge someone, remember, you don't know what test they are facing. You don't know what weight they are carrying. You don't know how you would act if you were chained in their circumstances. And before you reach for forbidden knowledge, whether it is magic, power, revenge, or just something that promises to give you control over others, remember the warning Harut and Marut gave. We are only a test. Do not lose yourself. Because the greatest magic is not in bending reality to your will. It is in bending your will to something higher, in choosing restraint when you have the power to harm, in choosing faith when the shortcut is right in front of you. Harut and Marut hang upside down in darkness, waiting for judgment. But their story lives on, a warning carved into the walls of history. Power without wisdom is destruction. Knowledge without morality is poison. Pride without humility is the first step toward a fall. Two angels came to earth to teach magic, but the real lesson they taught was this: no one is above falling, not angels, not humans, not you. The only question is, when the test comes, will you remember the warning?